So good day, everyone. So wherever you are in the world, this is our day to meet again once again and sharing the ideas that we should be heard. So what we're going to have today is that we're going to learn whether a technical person can be a machine learning expert or not. So this is going to be a very nice talk. It's because this has been our dream to be a machine learning expert. So I'm so sure one of you out there would really want to become a person who is a data scientist and who is an expert in machine learning. So it's no doubt that machine learning is really a big word this time. And to be a machine learning actually needs to undergo a lot of training, and that is if you didn't have any background as to programming, even as to mathematics. So this is the kind of thing that we're going to talk about in our today's session. So wherever you are in this part of the world, please share with us which country you are from. So, and please do comment or just do type there in our chat box. Where are you from? Okay, so as what I have said, machine learning is really a great thing to deal with and to learn. It's because it's really an in-demand skill. If you know machine learning very much well, then you would have a very great opportunity waiting for you out there. So it's a part of data science wherein you can really master, because this kind of field in data science is really growing and in demand. So we have to take this opportunity. So, and I know what your problem is right now. Your problem is that if you are from a non-technical field, would you be an expert in machine learning? And or if you are from a programming background, what are the things that you're going to still learn for you to become a machine learning expert? So these are just some of the things that we're going to talk about today, but primarily our focus in how can a non-technical person be a machine learning practitioner. So this is going to be a very exciting topic for today's session. So if you please do comment where you are from, where you are in in the world. So later on we will have some discussions of your questions, so you can just type your questions in our chat and we will have them one by one. Okay. Right. So or you can share with us your experiences or what your background is. You can just type there in our live chat. Okay. So becoming a machine learning expert is actually not that easy, especially if you don't have background in programming and if you don't have some backgrounds in mathematics. So we are not actually demanding here an expert background when it comes to programming or coding or being an expert in the field of statistics and some other fields of mathematics that are really related to machine learning. Okay, so what we need is just substantial understanding and knowledge when it comes to the fields that are the foundations of machine learning. So later we are going to have what are these foundations of machine learning. So as what I have said, um, there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you if you are going to master machine learning. So again, machine learning is growing and the demand for this field is huge. So if you have the heart for machine learning, I think it's the best opportunity for you and me, for all of us, to journey in this field of data science. Okay, so having the proper understanding of machine learning, both its technical part and even its non-technical part, would really help you to master machine learning. Okay, so of course, what comes to mind if you would like to be an expert in machine learning is that you're going to take a course. I believe you've thought about that. Just in the recent years, machine learning has been a big term. Has been a big concept that everybody, every programmer, every engineer would like to be expert in it. And so, you would like to take courses that are offered online. It's because these courses we think can really help us to strengthen our knowledge and skills in this field. But then the problem is that sometimes we don't have enough time to enroll in an online course or even go to a formal school for us to be trained in this field. The reason for that is it could be we are working, and I do believe that this is based on my experience. Combining your study and then your work, especially when your work is more difficult um, when you are too busy in your work, then it would be difficult to break through in your machine learning study. So the best option would be you're going to learn the course at your own pace. Okay, so but then of course, not everybody can just self-study a certain topic, especially when it comes to machine learning, because it's really very technical. And the problem is that when your ability for both mathematics and computer science is or are challenging, then it would be very difficult for you to really break through. And the only hope for this is your determination and your discipline to study. Okay, because really nothing is hard when you have that passion and your determination, because these two things, these two abstract things, can really help you to really break through. Okay, so this is why it's really very important for us to understand what are these things needed for us to continue or to break through in the field of machine learning. So what are we going to do then? We actually have a lot of things that we can share on the table, that we can offer for us to master, not really all, but lot of machine learning skills. So we have to understand that machine learning is made up of a lot of skills. It's not just one. It's made up of a lot of concepts. It's made up of a lot of theories. So we don't, or we are not really expected to memorize all of these theories, all of these concepts, but we are just expected to memorize at least some of them, which are applicable to what kind of business, what kind of organizations we are working in. So um, that this is why we don't, or we are not expected to master machine learning overnight, because it's really a process. So what shall we do then? Because learning machine learning can be at times be very challenging. Okay, so on a non-technical person's point of view, how can he learn machine learning? So this is the kind of thing that we're going to talk today. So you have to stay put, because we're going to learn the different things that we're going to take note of for us to maneuver, for us to transform ourselves from being non-technical to a machine learning expert. So what are these things that are needed? So how are we going to overcome the different challenges? Okay. So in everything that we do, there is always a challenge, especially when something is really more interesting, something is really more difficult, and all we need to do is that we have to be very focused. So all of these challenges would be overcome. But then of course it's not really a walk in the park. Something that has greater value also has greater risks and greater challenges that we have to overcome. And of course, one of them is really machine learning. For a person who is from a very non-technical background, so what he or she is going to do then, because he is from a very non-technical background? Okay, is he going to enroll in a school directly? Oh, I don't suggest that. Why do I don't suggest that? It's because it would be a waste of time. It would be a waste of money if you will just enroll in a certain university, a certain online course, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what are these things that are needed, what are these skills that are needed, what are these prerequisite subjects or knowledge that you have first to know before you dive in the field of machine learning. Okay, so from a non-technical person's point of view, what he has to do first is that he is going to master, or at least know, the different mathematical concepts that are the foundations of machine learning. So you have to really learn the statistics and probability. Probability is really very important, especially when we talk about Bayesian. And also he has to learn the algebra, the calculus, okay, and geometry, analytic geometry. So these subjects are the foundations. So I really don't suggest you that you really have to focus a lot of your time in understanding, or in really mastering the computational aspects, but I believe that substantial knowledge would really suffice. Okay, so for example, you really have to understand the the logarithms, how it is used, because this is really very important, especially when we're talking about the maximum likelihood, when we talk about the loss function, when we talk about the error. How are we going to manage all of them? Okay, so these things are needed when we make some adjustments, when we make validations of our model. So these are just some of the things that you really have to always, always remember. So because you already know what these mathematical foundations of um, machine learning, what would be the next thing to do? Okay. So, but of course, let me go back first to this topic, these subjects of mathematics. You have to schedule your time, and because sometimes a problem is that how are we going to schedule? So, which would come first? So, sometimes it would really take some research for you to be able to understand which subject you have to study first. Are you going to study first statistics before you study calculus, or what? Can you do them one or all at once? Oh, I don't suggest that. I think that would be doable if only you have enough time. But then the question is this, if you don't have enough time, if you are working, so what are you going to do, especially when you're married? What are you going to do? Okay, right? So of course, there are things that we cannot sacrifice, like for example, our family. So you really have to schedule. You really have to schedule because scheduling is very important if we would like to manage our time very much properly. Oops. Okay. Okay, let me. Okay. Okay. All right. So these are just the things that, oops, let me, okay. Oops. Okay. Right. So now that you already know what these prerequisite subjects are, then you have to proceed to the next one. You have to go higher, higher and higher. Okay. So you have to know, just like for example, the connection between geometry and then calculus, because these are really very important, especially when we are going to map at different points. So this is just some of, or these are just some of the considerations that you're going to do if you are going to study the mathematics of machine learning. Okay, so once you have the knowledge, theoretical knowledge, you have the concepts, you have the intuition, you have the foundational understanding of the different theories and concepts, it would be now better for you to go to the next step. And the next step is you have to go into the programming. So the question here is this: what then are you going to do if you are really from a non-technical background, if you don't have any programming background? So this is going to be an uphill battle. Why I say this, an uphill battle? Because it's actually something that you have to learn from scratch. So I suggest that you first have to learn the data structures and algorithm, because this is really very important. This is the foundation of coding, of doing the codes of a different algorithms. Okay, and to program um, certain, uh, of course, programs, to code certain programs, okay, of certain algorithms, right? So you have to learn that. So it could be any language, programming language that you are comfortable with. So of course you can have R, you can have Python, you can have Julia. Or in my case, I do Python. So as you go progress with your programming, then uh, you can integrate mathematics and then programming. How are you going to transform the coding, I mean the mathematics into coding? How are you going to transform the mathematical algorithms into programming? So how are you going to connect mathematical theories, the intuitions into programming? So these are very interesting. So it's really good if you know how to connect your mathematics and programming. Um, why I say so? It's because there are actually a lot of people out there who know programming. They can just they can program different algorithms. Of course, that is searchable even on Google, excuse me, even in Google. But then the problem in this kind of case is that you don't understand the the intuition behind the different algorithms. So in machine learning, we will be dealing with lots of cases, numbers, huge numbers. So if you are faced or if you face these numbers, what do they mean? What do they mean? Okay. So for example, between the MSE and the MAE, the mean absolute error and the standard error or squared error, what or which one are you going to choose? Is the MAE or the MSE? Which one, right? So you really have to understand the different concepts, their applications, their limitations, their requirements, and how are you going to connect this understanding of yours of mathematics and statistics to your programming? How can these theories um, really affect the the performance of a certain code or programs? Okay, so that is why it's really very important to have all of these things. Okay, so okay, so we have please type whatever question you would have so we can discuss each of the question and we can share our understanding, our knowledge, and then we can learn from each other. Okay, and also domain knowledge. So now that you know the mathematics, now that you know the programming, what shall we do next? But then, of course, understanding the mathematics and understanding programming are not made overnight. It is even not made in just a few weeks when you are a non-technical person. Okay? So it takes time actually. It takes time. It takes a lot of efforts to understand mathematics and to connect mathematics and programming. So it's really a matter of practice. It's really a matter of managing your time to study and to understand things. So 1 hour a day would be enough. 2 hours if you have enough time, or 3 hours or 4 hours would be enough. Okay, as long as we progress, that's no problem. The problem is that when we don't make any progression, so that would really be a problem. Okay, so for as long as we have some progressions, I think it would be satisfactory on our part. Okay, at least we are not stagnant. Now, granting that you have now the knowledge of mathematics and programming, the next thing that you're going to do is that you have to have an understanding of your domain knowledge. So when I say domain knowledge, it has something to do with what field you are mastering, you are expert in. Say, for example, are you a person who is into business, or you're a person who is into um, computer vision? Are you into the natural language processing? Are you into robotics? Which ones? Okay, so having a domain knowledge is really very important. And why is it having this kind of knowledge very important because it gives you the right mindset how to deal with a certain case, how to decide upon things. So, um, think for example, if you are not interested for a certain domain, you are foreign in it. So, do you think you would perform good? You will perform the best? Of course not, because you could not really offer solutions. You could not offer suggestions that are really very critical in solving certain problems. Okay, and granting that you have already developed your domain knowledge, what would be the next thing to do? Okay, so you have the mathematics, you have the programming. Okay, so I don't mean that for all of these three, you really have to be an expert. Of course not. Again, being an expert does not really happen overnight. It does not even happen a week or a month or even a year. It takes time. It takes time to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to practice what you've learned. So here in this case is that you're going to make projects. And how are you going to make projects? So for most of us, the question is, are we going to be an employee? Are we going to work for a company for us to be able to make our project? Because sometimes we feel that we can only have a project if we are employed. But I think that is a wrong myth. Okay, that is a wrong myth. Why it's wrong? Because you can actually have a lot of applications even if you don't work for a certain company. Okay, so what are you going to do then? Of course, you can make your own self project. Make your own self project. And the beauty of making a self project is that this would be a part of your um, a part of your, of course, experience. Okay, it would be a part of your experience too that you can show later on if you are ready for employment that, hey, Mr. Employer, I have already done this kind of project. So it adds value to yourself, it adds value to your resume. Okay, so okay, so that's why. And also when you make your projects, it really adds or fills in some details that you've failed to study, or those things that you did not understand properly well when you were still studying mathematics and programming. So these things can just be understood properly when you do a certain project because it's not the time to really combine lots of theories, lots of mathematics, lots of concepts, and even your domain knowledge in a certain project. So this is what really makes it really very interesting. So the things that you're going to learn so that you would become an expert, a machine learning expert from being a non-technical person is or are you first have to understand the mathematics, okay, the mathematics of the machine learning. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you really have to understand the programming. And number three, you have to have the domain knowledge. Okay, so number four, you really have to practice. It takes a lot of practice for you to really master machine learning algorithm. You really have to really immerse yourself in certain projects because immersion can really do a lot of magic for you to be able to have a wholesome understanding, a deeper understanding and appreciation of machine learning. So please um, write your answers in our chat so we could discuss the questions and the answers so we could learn from each other so well. So I'm going to wait. And so with these things, um, can you say that you are ready to start your first step to becoming a person who is an expert in machine learning? So there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you out there, and all you have to do right now is to study, practice, and develop that kind of skills needed to be a machine learning expert. So confidence, determination, and you need to have that degree of passion. So if you do have some questions later on, you can just write your questions in any of my videos, and please don't forget to subscribe. I have lots of lessons for you if you would like to master machine learning algorithm. I have that machine learning algorithm. If you want to know more about the deep learning mathematics, and if you want to know the natural language processing, so these things can really help you um, develop your skills and your confidence in this field. So just visit my channel from time to time, and don't forget to share my channel with your friends who are also interested in machine learning, natural language processing, and data science, and all of the stuffs. So I am making videos, lots of videos. So these stuffs are just for free, and you don't need to um, really pay. So I am offering my knowledge with you, so you can just visit my channel from time to time whenever you have time, and you can learn and upskill yourself for free. See you next time in my next